I hate the internet.
Hello, and welcome to I Hate the Internet, the only podcast to be serious and interview serious people on the internet.
Yeah.
Today we are here with LA comedian Kevin Klapman. Kevin Klapman is hot off the trail of a series of giant things that happened to him in a larger city than here that is more opportunity than Denver, and he is large, in charge, and kind of big, and people do what he says. So we are here with Kevin. Kevin, say hi.
Hi.
All right, that's enough. And sometimes we ask questions that may get a little deep.
Oh.
And I want to know if you're comfortable with that or not.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I like it deep.
Good. Now, for the serious questions. How old are you?
In LA, I spent a good amount of time. I'll just give you a quick overview. I met popular Asian prankster Steve O, and a couple of, like you said, some giant things happened to me. Met the lacrosse team, the LA Giants. Swapped autographs with them.
And how old are you?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people ask that quite a bit, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because
No, how old?
Oh, how old? Well, I'll tell you how people ask that. Usually, I'll just be like sitting across from them.
But I think what the people really want to know is why.
Right. Why? That's a good question. Everybody asks why. Why when you think about it? Why the sky? Why am I?
But why?
Why Thai? Why needs food?
But why?
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so when you break it down, if you were to go to Target and get one of those balls out of that bin that are like made of rubber and bounce them around, like you would do when you went to Target as a kid and just like played around with those balls that bounce.
Now, if you and I were to have a serious conversation here and now, and you were going to ask yourself a question, what would that question be?
Yeah, so 7 dwarves were walking around downtown Denver the other day, and basically you see everything when you live in LA. I was like, that happens every day in LA. Basically, you'll see 7 dwarves just going on a hike and playing checkers in the middle of the street. I saw an old guy playing checkers with the dwarves and a lady who actually had an apple from an old woman. And the apple apparently was poisoned. And I was like, well, you better call the company and ask what's going on. So she called Apple, and they said, we're not a bank. And she said, well, can you help me anyway? Because this was one of your products, the apple, of course, from the old lady. And she said, does the old lady work for you? And then they said, what's your Apple ID number? And then she said, I don't know. And then they said, well, do you have a case number? And she said, hold on, let me look at my suitcase. And she said, well, there is a number on here, but it changes because it locks with a code. So there are 4 numbers. Would that be the case number you're looking for? And they said, no, the case number should have at least 10 numbers. And she said, I don't think I have that. And then they said, well, maybe I don't think we can help you.
And how do you think that panned out for you?
I don't know. I was just sort of an outside observer, but I was participating in it. But as an outside observer, was participating in a way that I did actually talk to them and see the apple being brought to the lady in the middle of the street while the dwarves were playing checkers. They used to be minors, but they grew up and got older. So the dwarves are no longer minors because they're actually much older than they used to be. They also used to work in a mine, so that was kind of cool. They mined gold. They actually moved out to LA during the gold rush. Funny fact about dwarves, they can actually live to over 100 years old. They don't grow much larger than 3 feet in size, but there have been reports of ones being 4 feet and up to 5 feet. Those are the black dwarves. So many times you'll see them walking around on the street. And actually, because of the Dwarf Basketball League, mainly populated by black dwarves, but there are some European ones that come in there and play, and they're actually these 7-foot guys that can actually shoot 3-pointers, which is kind of impressive. The basketball hoop is a little shorter. No, actually, it's the same size. So there's no dunking, except for the black dwarf. They can dunk. Anyway, so you asked how hot it was that day. It was 42 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is in Celsius, Pretty cold for LA when you think about it. It was the winter. It was raining at the time. It doesn't rain there very much, only in the winter time, apparently. That's why I came back here to Colorado, where I am right now in Denver, kind of in Denver, right by Invesco Field, which is not called Invesco Field anymore, oddly enough. It's called Sports Authority Field, but I can't imagine it would be called that for much longer because they went out of business. Anyway, my dad actually worked with a guy who ended up being the CEO of Sports Authority, and then it ended up going out of business. And my dad was kind of like, yeah, that guy was an idiot. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Anyway, so there was that, and that was kind of interesting. Unrelated to the whole dwarf thing, but kind of actually, because one of the dwarves worked at Sports Authority. So I was kind of like, and I was friends with the guy. The guy's name was Frank. He worked at Sports Authority, and you would go there, and then the desk wouldn't be tall enough. You'd be like, is anyone working today? And then he would go on his tiptoes and be like, I can help you right here. And I'd be like, oh, there you are. And I'd be like, oh, can I have this basketball? He'd be like, oh, it's $5. And I'd be like, $5 for a basketball? That's a pretty good deal. Why don't more people work here? And he was like, I don't know. I mean,
so you mentioned the Checkers.
Yeah, Checkers, yeah. Yeah, Checkers are there's this dwarf hockey league, and there's this one team called the Checkers because they're really hard hitters in hockey, and so they just run around and check people. And there's this check guy that works for them, and oddly enough, he only pays with checks. He doesn't use a credit card or cash, which is kind of funny, I think, because like who uses that anymore? People hardly even know how to use checks anymore. Who's going to take a check these days? Hardly anybody when you think about it.
I'll ask the questions.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for coming in for this serious interview.
Oh, you're gonna yeah.
And look, I know that these things sometimes they go left, right. It doesn't, we just go where we're gonna go. And sometimes you say things you don't want to say. So I just really appreciate you coming in and taking this as serious as possible and making this a great podcast.
I have blood cancer.
Thank you for calling the Hilton Head Target Store. We are now hiring. If you're interested in joining our team, we'd love to talk to you. Please stay on the line to speak with a team member for more details or apply online at target.com/careers. For hours and location information, press 1. To reach a specific department, press 2. To speak to someone in the pharmacy, press 3. For electronics, press 1. For guest
Target Electronics. How can I help you?
Hey, we're back, baby.
It's back. The podcast is back. Holler.